keep searching through the darkest day for every soul that's lost or gone. We'll fight until the break of dawn. American justice stands so tall. We won't rest until we found you. For all the lost, both the near and far, you're in our hearts, you're who we are. Through the nights and through the pain, we will say your name again. Every step we take is true as we continue to search for you. American justice stands so tall. We won't rest until there is justice for all the lost, both the near and far. You're in our hearts. You're who we are. We will continue to pray until you're home to stay.
Hello, everybody. So, hi, Marie. Yes, if you guys don't mind hitting the like and subscribe, but more than anything, if you could just get this channel out there by word of mouth and sharing it to people so that it can grow like the other channel did. Still working on getting it back. I sent them a message earlier and asked them if they had found any reason to keep my channel down. They have not responded yet. Fingers crossed, I will get it back soon. Hopefully everybody can hear me today, unlike the other day. Hey, little black bear. Hello, Miss Belle. How are you, dear? And hello, Lori. So I just wanted to do a quick live today over Jason Hughes, who is a teacher out of Georgia, and for Penelope McGowan, who is from here in Indiana, believed to be a runaway. Fingers crossed, right? I mean, I'm hoping. Like, they keep telling me, oh, every time I ask them, they're like, well, we're working on it. We're working on it. And so finally, I asked them, I said, well, have you found any reason whatsoever that I should not have my YouTube channel? And they have not responded yet. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I will get it back soon because I see no reason for them to have taken it in the first place. Hello, Kelly. I wondered if you got my message. Okay, so this is, I'm going to turn my camera on just so you guys can see me. Hello. Hope everybody's good. Okay, going back off camera now. As you know, I hate being on camera. So I think what I did the other day when I took myself, I meant to take myself off camera. And I think what I did is I actually removed myself from the stage, which is what you guys see, which also takes my audio. And I didn't realize it. I thought I had it fixed because at one point I was muted and I thought I had it fixed. And nobody said anything else. So I went on with this 2.5 hour live, talking to myself clearly because you guys couldn't hear me. So I will redo that live later. I did set it to unlisted, so it's not being seen. So let me take me off stage so you guys can see this better. So this is Penelope, and this is surveillance, a still from the surveillance footage Um, sorry. um, from the school. So Nick Mick posted the other day, missing juvenile out of Plainfield, Indiana. The Plainfield Police Department is seeking the public assistance in locating 17-year-old Penelope McGowan. And I hope I'm pronouncing that last name correctly. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay, that should be good enough. She stands 5'4". She's 130 pounds. They say she has red hair with hazel eyes. So I don't know. Do you guys consider that red hair? I mean, I know pictures don't do colors justice very often. Um, I don't know. I go between thinking it's like a light brown to, I mean, possibly red. Her family knows, right? So, um, just know in the picture, to me, it doesn't look like she really necessarily has red hair. She was wearing a white colored shirt, a black jacket with fur on the hood, blue pants, and carrying her backpack. And that is this outfit right here. Like I said, this is the surveillance photo. Hey, Countryside Wildflowers, how are you? Where's my mouse? There it is. Hope you're good. So, keep losing track of my mouse here. She was last identified leaving school with her older sister. The sister provided information that she dropped Penelope off in the neighborhood that she resides with her father. The last known GPS location was Southbound on Moon Road, just south of US 40, before believed to be turned off. Her phone, that is. She has not made any contact with her friends or family that they are aware of, and after the sister dropped her off in the neighborhood that she lives in. It's unknown who she could be traveling with or if she's in any danger, and her location is unknown at this time. Anyone with information regarding the whereabouts of Penelope is asked to contact 911 or the Plainfield Police Department at 1-317-838-3562. Give me just a second here. There it is. So I wanted to put that ticker on real quick. So as of now, I haven't seen anything, any new updates saying that she has been found. Where's my mouse again? Or anything like that. So preparing for severe weather tonight. Oh no. I would say, where do you live? But I don't want you to dox yourself. So I will just say, stay safe. Hopefully it's not as severe as they're thinking it's going to be. So there's not really a whole lot on her disappearance or anything like that. Again, they stated that they think that she could be a runaway. So Fox 59. Let me go over here and show this. So Fox 59 posted on the 7th, so 3 days ago. The Plainfield Police Department is seeking the public's assistance in locating a runaway juvenile. So as of right now, they have her listed as a runaway. And whether or not she's a runaway or not, Penelope, honey, if you can hear this, I urge you, reach out to family or friend or even the police department yourself and let them know that you are okay. And the reason I say that is as we get further down, I think it'll become clear why I say that. But if she really is truly a runaway, just get in contact with somebody, letting them know that you're okay. And let them know why you're not wanting to come home. According to the Plainfield Police Department, 17-year-old Penelope McGowan was last seen leaving the Plainfield High School with a family member. We already know that that's an older sister. The older sister told police that McGowan was dropped off in the neighborhood where her father lives. McGowan was wearing a white shirt, blue pants, and a black jacket with fur on the hood and a backpack at the time of her disappearance. She's 5'4" and 130 pounds with red hair and hazel eyes. Her last known GPS location was southbound on Moon Road, just south of U.S. 40. Police believe her cell phone was turned off at that time. A lot of this article, which really there's only a couple that I've been able to find, and they all pretty much say the same thing, and they say essentially what I read from Nick Mick. She has run away in the past. At this time, a note believed to be written by McGowan was found stating she intends to stay away until she turns 18. So, Penelope, if you're hearing this, chances are you're not, but if you are, contact law enforcement. Let them know that you're okay, but that you're not wanting to come home. Contact a friend that you trust. Contact a family member that you trust. Just contact somebody and let them know that you are okay. According to the Plainfield Police Department, she has not contacted any friends or family since being dropped off, which, even if you're a runaway, I find it odd, and maybe I'm wrong, but I find it odd that she hasn't reached out to anybody. That seems a little off to me, especially this day and age where, you've got facial recognition and everything that you do and everything we do is recorded for the most part in the United States, just about anywhere you go. And as far as her phone, I know that you're able to track a phone in some situations if it's off, as long as it has the SIM card in it. Not sure exactly how that's done. I just know I've heard that before. Investigators have followed up on multiple leads they have gotten on McGowan's whereabouts. Law enforcement has indicated that her case does not qualify for an Amber Alert under the current criteria for issuing such a notice, and that includes having a vehicle description and having some sort of proof that the person was taken essentially by force against their will. Police investigation remains active, and they're asking anyone for information regarding McGowan's whereabouts to contact the Plainfield Police Department in Hendricks County 911 Center at 317-839-8700. The other article literally says just about word for word this exact same thing. So I understand people, they want to run away. They've got bad home lives. They don't want to go home, but don't put your family through that. At least let somebody know that you're okay. So the other thing I wanted to go over today, just like I said, I know this isn't going to be a very long life, but so Nick Barris broke this about Jason Hughes, and this essentially was a high school prank gone wrong. So this here is Jason Hughes' home, and the high school where he taught had essentially this war between students and teachers and coaches. And so there were some rules set forth by the school. And this was the Junior Senior High Wars rules of 2025, starting Sunday the 13th. So let me take that banner off. And where am I at? There we go. So the point system was 1 point for the students, 2 points for teachers and coaches, 3 points if you're an admin. You lose 3 points if you get caught with people from another school or another freshman or sophomore. So the rules include that they could only mess with homes, that they could not mess with any cars, that only paper and plastic products could be used, no mailboxes, no food or drink, no saran wrap, no eggs, no paint, and no weapons, including airsoft guns, splat ball, which is kind of like water, like if you think of paintballs but smaller, and it's like colored water, and no pepper spray, etc. So this was a horrible accident, in my opinion. This was a very tragic accident that really wasn't anybody's fault, in my opinion. We'll read, and of course, the sheriff's department thinks otherwise, but the family has other options as opinions as well. So, again, this was the home, and there were students that decided they were going to go toilet paper the house. And from my understanding, Jason Hughes knew that this was happening. He was waiting for this to happen. And he went outside to catch the kids and, quote unquote, confront them. And in doing so, there was a tragic accident that happened. So let me remove this and add this back to stage. This here is Jason Hughes. And so new developments, let me see here. Let me make sure this was the first one. Yeah. Okay. So new developments, and this is from Nick Barris at NC5. So give me just a second here so I make sure that I have okay. Better. Maybe if it will allow me to. So okay, hold on. My computer's messing up. Hold on. Okay, save. So the family of Jason Hughes releases a statement and supports dropping of charges. Laura Hughes, which is Jason's wife, shared the following statement with Access WDUN. Our family wants to thank the Hall County community for the outpouring of prayers and support and respect for our privacy as we grieve the loss of Jason. We ask that you continue to pray for our family and also for the students involved in the accident. That is something I want to point out. She even says in an accident. She feels this was an accident. So we will go into essentially what the attorneys and prosecutor decided. Along with their families, please join us in extending grace and mercy to them as Christ has done for us. ABC News reports that the Hughes family said they would support dropping the charges against the students. They told ABC News, "This is a terrible tragedy, and our family is determined to prevent a separate tragedy from occurring, running the lives of these students. This would be counter to Justin's lifelong dedication of investing in the lives of these children." Hughes died Friday night during a senior prank when 5 of his students were trying to toilet paper his home. His family told ABC News that Hughes knew this was coming and was excited. But because it had been raining, he slipped and fell into the road right as Jaden Wallace drove by in his pickup, running Hughes over. There is a GoFundMe for this. Let me grab that link so I can drop it for you guys. Like 400 and what'd that say? Almost $450,000 has been raised so far. A night prank goes wrong and leads to the death of a beloved teacher. A horrible tragedy that began with students rolling through the Georgia teacher's yard. Yes, toilet paper in the trees. Police say 40-year-old Jason Hughes, a math teacher and golf coach at North Hall High School, stepped outside his Gainesville home around 11:40 p.m. after noticing teens toilet papering his property. Investigators say Hughes approached the teens as they tried to leave. He tripped and fell into the road and was ran over by a pickup truck driven by 18-year-old Jaden Wallace as the group attempted to drive away. Hughes was rushed to Northeast Georgia Medical Center where he later died from his injuries. Wallace has been charged with first-degree vehicular homicide, reckless driving, criminal trespass, and littering. 4 other teens who were with him were arrested and charged with misdemeanor criminal trespass and littering. Hughes is remembered as a devoted teacher, coach, husband, and father of 2. His wife, Laura, also teaches at North Hall High School, which may be, in my opinion, why she is so understanding, because she knew the rules as well. Thoughts and prayers. And then, of course, you have Nick Barris's YouTube. I can't think. It is heartbreaking. It is. I mean, it just is. This was something that, was known this was going to happen. This isn't something that they didn't know about, right? So this is the young man Wallace that was arrested for the vehicular homicide. And, he's just a young kid. I mean, he really is. So let me just a second. Let me stop that. Oops. Remove him. Let me add. I'm going to share screen. Yes, I'm talking my way through it. You guys should be used to it by now. So these are the students that were arrested. Of course, here at the top, you've got Mr. Wallace, and then you've got the 4 other teens that were also arrested for littering and trespassing. So I don't know how Georgia does it, but here in Indiana, that's not trespassing. And I mean, I understand them charging them with littering. Get it? I get where they're coming from. However, this was known. This was going to happen. It was something everybody was excited for. And I will put out there, and I'm sure we'll see it here in just a moment, but Hughes, like the boy that hit him, right? Wallace, he realized he had hit his teacher. He realized he had run him over. He immediately stopped his truck. He got out of that truck and started life-saving measures. This was not, he kept driving type thing. He got out of the truck and immediately started life-saving measures. So I could understand the county charging him if he had continued to drive off, if he hadn't got out and performed life-saving measures, if he hadn't turned it in or called it in. I could understand the charges at that point. But that's not what happened. He got out of his vehicle. He was performing life-saving measures. This was known that it was going to happen. There's, like I showed before, there were rules, right? It's not like this was just something that was on the fly. The school set up rules. And I don't know about you guys, but I remember in high school, we had these prank wars. We had it with other schools, we had it with our teachers. I mean, this wasn't an uncommon practice. And I'm kind of glad to see that it still is happening now. That being said, I have a feeling that after this tragic accident, and it really is, in my opinion, you guys let me know what you think. In my opinion, I really feel like this was a tragic accident. This was not something that anybody thought would happen. It was a freak accident. He stepped out, he tripped into the road and was hit. I mean, I guess you could say, well, common sense would tell you that it's not safe or something like that could happen. But I mean, this has been going on for years. This isn't something that's never been heard of. For me, I feel like this was a tragic accident. And I feel like charging these teenagers with homicide, with vehicular homicide, which is a felony at that young of an age, is just ridiculous. The boy's 18. Don't ruin his life over an accident. And the family themselves are saying, we don't want charges. The wife is a teacher. She gets it. So, Lori, you think it's an accident too? Good. And Kelly, you. So I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks this was just a horrible, tragic accident. It was not planned. So that was the first news that they had come out with. And then they came out with an update. So, let me change this to 14 news. Oops, I can't spell. Save. Okay. So then they came out with this news article about the wife wanting the charges dropped. And I mean, he just looked like a fun-loving teacher. I wish my teachers were like that in high school, right? Like, I didn't have great teachers. Ours were kind of snooty. A community in Georgia is mourning the tragic loss of a math teacher and coach after a student prank has gone wrong. A community in Georgia is mourning the tragic loss of a math teacher and coach after a student prank gone wrong. Officials confirmed 40-year-old Jason Hughes, who taught at North Hall High School, was killed. 5 high school students went to Hughes's house late Friday night to pull off an apparent prank by throwing toilet paper on his trees. Around 11 p.m., Hughes came out of his house to confront the group of teens who got into their cars and began driving away. Hughes tripped and fell before being run over by one of the fleeing vehicles. Now, I have an issue with the way they say that he went out to confront them. I mean, yes, technically, that is what he did, right? He went out to, give them a, hey, what you doing out here, to catch them, which is part of the game, which is part of the prank. I mean, there's points for it. There's a point system. So I don't know what other word they could use, but I feel like that's kind of a prejudice word, like an inflammatory word to be using. Jaden Wallace, Elijah Tate Owens, Aiden Hucks, Anna Catherine, Luke Luki, I'm not sure, and Arena Cruz, which I'm assuming are brother and sister, all of which are 18, were arrested and charged with criminal trespass and littering on private property, according to the Hall County Sheriff's Office. Well, Hall County Sheriff's Office, bad call, right? Like, this was a prank. This was something planned. Don't ruin these kids' lives and give them misdemeanors. And I'm sure that this is all their first offenses, and it could be pled down where they got no jail time. And if they, like a diversion where if they were good for the next 2 years, right, then it doesn't show up on their record. But that doesn't negate the fact that you're charging them for something that, in my opinion, is ridiculous. Even the wife doesn't support it. That should tell them something, right? The wife is even, don't charge them. Don't ruin their lives. Don't do this in Jason's name because he would be against it. Just my opinion there. Wallace, the driver, was also charged with reckless driving and first-degree vehicular homicide. So what is first-degree vehicular homicide? Georgia law calls this offense homicide by vehicle in the first degree. You don't say, since that's, I don't know, literally just the words switched around. It is a felony and generally applies when someone without malice aforethought, that is, without intent to kill or murder, causes the death while committing certain serious traffic offenses. If somebody is speeding and they hit another vehicle and somebody dies, I get it. First degree vehicular homicide. They didn't have malice. They didn't have forethought. It was an accident, right? I could understand it, but not in this case. So what is their serious traffic offense, right? Littering is not a traffic offense. Trespass is not a traffic offense. What they're saying is the reckless driving. But was he really recklessly driving? That's no different than you hitting. This is going to be a horrible comparison. But if you're driving down the road and a deer runs out in front of you and you hit it, were you recklessly driving? No, right? It's an accident. He went outside, he tripped, he fell into the road. It is not something that they could have seen. Like, I don't understand it. I really don't. For typical first degree vehicular homicide cases, a conviction, I can't talk, can result in 3 to 15 years in prison. But more if you're a habitual violator. So you mean to tell me that these kids that went there to pull a prank on their teacher, who was expecting it, and tragically tripped and fell into the road and accidentally got hit, deserves 3 to 15 years in prison? Like, even if you give him 3 years in prison, he will forever have to say he was convicted of a felony. He already has to forever say that he was charged with a felony on job applications. Don't ruin this baby's life. And yes, he's 18. He's not a baby, but he is to me. He's little. He's a young man. Do not ruin this young man's life, in my opinion. The wife doesn't even want the students charged. Hugh's wife, Laura, said in a statement in part that she fully supports getting the charges dropped for all of those involved, adding that this was a terrible tragedy and our family is determined to prevent a separate tragedy from occurring, ruining the lives of these students. And that's exactly what will happen if they continue on this path of charging these students. They will ruin the students' lives, the students' families' lives. Yes, it is a horrible and tragic accident, but it is just that, an accident. and charging, in my opinion, charging these children, these young adults who are 18. Yes, 4 of the 5 are just misdemeanors, but that doesn't matter. The family doesn't want them charged. You should take that into account in this case. The prosecutor's office should, in my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel, but in my opinion, the prosecutor's office should take this into account. Now, if the prosecutor's office says, nope, we don't care what you want, we're going to continue to charge these these young adults with these misdemeanors and one of them with a felony, I hope to God, hand on the Bible, that Miss Laura Hughes walks into court and testifies for the defense and says, look, Judge, it was an accident. It was planned. There was a point system to this. Because you can't tell me if the wife of the victim gets up and testifies for the defense, that's not going to affect how a jury sees it. And if you get, this area, how many of these jurors or prospective jurors pulled a high school prank when they were a senior or even a junior? Like, I really don't see you winning this, prosecutor. I really don't. Exactly, Lori. Nobody would expect him to fall. It was because of the rain. Nobody would have expected that. It's not something that was, in my opinion, foreseeable. So Laura Hughes, who is also a teacher at the North Hall High School, said in a statement, this would be counter to Jason's lifelong dedication of investing in the lives of these students. In the statement, Laura Hughes said her husband was excited and waiting to catch them in the act, referring to the group of students determined to pull this prank off. So he knew about it. There's a point system for it. He's excited for it. He's waiting to catch them. And then he goes outside to quote unquote confront them and ruin their plan and make them get less points, and tragically slipped and fell into the road being hit by one of the vehicles. Crazy to me. Jason Hughes was a math teacher and a golf coach. In a 2023 profile article, Jason Hughes said, my wife and I have been married for 13 years. We both teach at North Hall High School. We have 2 sons. Their names are on the screen, but because they're minors, I don't feel comfortable saying their names. And they both love soccer and Pokemon and Beyblades. I'm not sure what that is. Hall County Schools called Jason Hughes a loving husband, a devoted father, passionate teacher, mentor, and coach. He was loved and respected by his students and his colleagues. Shaden Maynor, one of Jason Hughes' former students, said, the death is a huge loss to the community. He was always there for you, like well-known guy, well respected in the community, very beloved by our school and the students. Always had nothing but great things to say about Coach Hughes, Maynor said. He's helped me through some pretty hard times too, and he was just a great guy all the way around. And it's very sad, and it's a very sad tragedy of what our community has lost. I agree wholeheartedly. On the day prior to the tragedy, the Hall County School District, again, this is the school sending this out, sent a message to parents and students warning that junior-senior wars have gone too far, resulting in property damage. The district went on to say it's essential to recognize the serious consequences that can arise from engaging in destructive behavior. Damaging property can lead to criminal charges. Okay, I get that. But remember, guys, this is the school sending this out. So they can't say it's not a school sanction activity, because the school is saying, look, you guys have gotten a little wild lately. pull it back. Remember, you damaged somebody's property. And that's why one of the rules was it had to be the home only. It couldn't be a car. It couldn't be paint or eggs, anything that would damage. It had to be paper or plastic, and that was it. Like the school is now saying, okay, look, yeah, like I said, y'all gone too far. Let's make a few ground rules here to keep this safe for everybody. Um, Damaging property can result in criminal charges, not to mention the potential repercussions of on your participation in graduation ceremonies and other special events planned for this time of year. So that is the school saying, if you damage somebody's property, you're not going to walk, which maybe some of you don't understand what that means. But essentially, you're not going to graduate. You're not going to walk with your class. A school sanctioned event. He sounded like a great guy with a great nature. Yeah, I agree. And I've got some other pictures to show of him. I mean, he seemed like a great person. So it bugs me. You can clearly tell that this was a school sanctioned event. This is a school sanctioned activity. They have put up these rules. This is what they sent out, gave them a point system, told them what they could and could not use to avoid property damage so that they continue to graduate, be able to go to prom, be able to go to other school functions, right? This isn't, well, we didn't know about it. The school knew about it. And the wife even said, he was looking forward to this. He was waiting to go out and confront them and catch them in the act, right? Because they lose points for that if they get caught. Or well, he gets points, not necessarily. So the way I understand it, so the students would have got 1 point for doing this in this ranking. But if they got caught, then that teacher gets 2 points. So they don't lose necessarily points, but they don't get any, and the teacher gets more points. So okay, sorry, my alarm was going off. So it's it's astounding to me how a prosecutor can look at this list of points and look at these rules and know that this is a school sanctioned event, having the email from the school, and still say, well, we're going to charge these young people with misdemeanors and one of them with felonies. Just doesn't make any sense to me. Oh, sorry, you guys can't really see that, can you? There we go. So it goes on to say that North Hall High School students returned to school on Monday. Hall County District Attorney Lee, I'm not even going to try that, had no comment on the case. Wallace, who is charged with vehicular homicide, is scheduled to have his preliminary hearing on April 1st, according to the Hall County Magistrate Court. So not only are you going to try to ruin this young man's life by charging him with a felony for what is a tragic accident, you're going to make him wait until April 1st to even go to court? Crazy to me. Like, back off, dude. An online fundraiser for the Hughes family has raised more than $200,000 as of Monday. Like I said, I dropped the link to that fundraiser, and it was almost 450,000 when I pulled it up. The organizer wrote, Jason's life is a blessing to so many, and his untimely passing will be indescribably difficult for his wife and 2 young boys for years to come. Please use this opportunity to come alongside them in their time of immediate need and future planning for his children. So that was one article. So then Nick Barris had also posted. Okay. So then this was posted by Mark Donner. So let me change this ticker real quick. So these are the pictures that were like, they looked like a fun loving couple, right? Like they look like they were having a good time. And again, this is where I got the picture. This is what the kids were doing. They were putting toilet paper in a tree. They didn't even attack his house. They put it in the tree. And there is not a whole lot of it. You kids these days need to learn what toilet papering really is, because this is a really crappy job, first of all. But he comes out of his home to, catch them in the act. So somebody posted, now after seeing the yard and the hill, I can see how he slipped and fell into the road. So I don't know how well you guys can see this, but this is a pretty steep hill. It's, it was raining and he slipped into the road. The boy tried to save his life and didn't intentionally hit him. Exactly. One of the other articles goes into that. And again, this is the young man. And, somebody I see here, it says he looks like he's been crying. And it does. His eyes are glassy. I'm sure he was crying. This is a young man that accidentally hit his teacher and his coach, got out of his truck, immediately started performing life-saving measures, only to lose him. And then for the state and county to say, well, we're going to charge you with vehicular homicide. Like he planned it, like he's a criminal. And in my opinion, I don't think he is. Here's another picture. This is his wife, Laura, Mr. Hughes, and their two young children. And this is also where I got the point system. So it's sad that a prank kills the teacher. Update: heartbreaking details behind the school prank that left teacher Jason Hughes dead, as district issues a warning just hours before the tragic accident. The toilet paper prank that left a beloved Georgia teacher and dad of two dead was part of an annual junior-senior war at the school, which district officials had warned against just hours before the tragedy. But that's not what they warned against. What they warned against was damaging property. What they warned against was things that could get them charged. Like that. I don't know how to explain. You guys know what I mean. It wasn't don't do it or we advise against it. It was just keep in mind that if you do this, to be cognizant of these things so that you don't get in trouble. And then awarded points and a system to it. Jason Hughes, 40, had been the target of the prank wars in years prior. So this wasn't the first time he'd been a part of this prank war either, where a group of students come to his Gainesville home and covered the front lawn with toilet paper. Hughes' home was a clear target for the prank war, given the teachers' homes were worth 2 points. According to last year's rules set, so they had rules last year too, so this is now a pattern. Each year they have rules. Each year it's a different you guys know this is Not a one time or this was the first time deal for me. Um, and both he and his spouse were teachers at North Hall High School. Students were said to lose points if they were caught, which is why he was waiting on them to go out and catch them so that they would lose points. Not because they were doing something wrong, but because he wanted to cost them points, because he was down with it. Let's go. I'm going to catch you. You're going to lose points, which I think is absolutely wonderful. It goes to his character for me. He seems like a very lovely teacher, one I would have personally loved to have had in school. Possibly explaining how Hughes allegedly wound up getting run over by a student, Jaden Wallace. Wallace now faces charges of vehicular homicide. Several of his pals were also busted on lesser charges. Hughes, a father of two, allegedly tripped and fell into the road when he stepped outside his house to confront the teen pranksters, with Wallace running over him with his pickup truck, according to the Hall County Sheriff's Office. The teen driver and two others stopped to check on Hughes, providing first aid until emergency responders arrived and transported him to the hospital, where he later died of his injuries. A photo posted on an Instagram page dedicated to the student wars showed the outside of Hughes' home covered in toilet paper in March of 2023. Juniors plus 4, the photo noted. Rules listed on the same page showed that the prank was supposed to stick to good, clean fun. No eggs, no paint, no weapons, the page stated as part of the rules. The incident occurred just hours after the Hall County School District called on seniors and juniors to end the prank war tradition because students were taking things too far in previous years. That's not what it said earlier, though, in the article that we read. It didn't say for them not to do it, it advised them to be cautious of not damaging property, not that they shouldn't do it. While we understand that prom is a time for celebration and creating lasting memories, we must emphasize the importance of responsible behavior and respect for others and their property, the district said in a statement posted Thursday afternoon. In previous years, some pranks during prom season, sometimes referred to as the junior senior wars, have gone too far, resulting in damage to property. We urge all students to refrain from participating in any activities that cause harm or destruction to school or personal property. That's not saying don't do it. That's saying be cognizant of what you're doing and don't cause damage to personal or school property. And then again, gave rules like no paint, no saran wrap, property only, not cars, no eggs, things that would harm property. Such actions not only reflect poorly on the individual involved, but also tarnish the reputation of our schools, families, and community. Again, nowhere in there, correct me if I'm wrong, has it said, don't do it. Following Hughes' death, Wallace was hit with multiple charges, including first-degree vehicular homicide, reckless driving, criminal trespass, and littering on private property. He faces 3 to 15 years behind bars if convicted. So, again, I would urge the wife to go up there and be like, they weren't trespassing. We knew they were coming. They weren't trespassing. And technically, unless they had been asked to leave, I don't know how it is in Georgia, but in Indiana, unless you're asked to leave and told to leave private property, it's not trespassing. Trespassing requires the act of refusing to leave after being asked to leave. So, littering. They weren't littering. They knew it was going to happen. They were ready for it. They were waiting for it. They were excited for this to happen. Reckless driving because they sped off when he came out is how they put it. And another one that they sped off. So that's where they got the reckless driving. I I don't see how they could have, quote unquote, sped off so fast that it could be included in reckless driving. Wallace is being held on $1,950 bond, according to the jail records. His alleged co-pranksters, Elijah Owens, Aiden Hucks, Anna Catherine, Luik, and Ariana Cruz, all 18, were arrested outside the Hughes home and charged with criminal trespass and littering. It boggles my mind that that is what they're choosing to focus on. You guys let me know, because I can't believe it. So here were some other pictures of, this is the memorial outside of the school. There's another family photo of the boys and Laura. So this was Nick Barris. I'm just going to hide that. From News 5. A possible reprieve in the works for the teen charged with killing a popular teacher. So many of us are following this sad story, and here's the latest. Now, you may have heard the family of Georgia teacher killed in what investigators say was a prank gone wrong is asking authorities to drop the charges against the students who were allegedly involved. This is something that will be considered by the Hall County District Attorney Lee Darragh, maybe. I think you need to highly consider that, District Attorney. Just saying. I think you need to really think about this, because if Laura Hughes goes and testifies for the defense, your case is blown out of the water anyway, and you're not going to get a conviction. And if you call her and she says that they were excited about this and they were waiting for this, again, your case is tanked. So you really need to consider what message you're sending. Is this a hill you're willing to die on? No pun intended there. And I don't mean to seem insensitive, but you mean to tell me that a tragic accident is more important than, I don't know, finding children that have been kidnapped, like, I don't know, maybe Sebastian Rogers, or that filing charges and using taxpayer money to charge these young people that even the family doesn't want charged is more important than maybe somebody who's trafficking rugs or, breaking into cars or theft. This is what you want to spend your time and money on, is a tragic accident and making that tragic accident exponentially worse. Really need to consider this, DA. The DA often take into account the wishes of family members. You better, because she can tank your case, but will make the decision on a number of factors. Deputies say 5 teenagers went to 40-year-old North Hall High School, Jason Hughes' home, and rolled his trees with toilet paper, a prank commonly known as TPing, which, guys, you need to go ask your Gen X parents how to do it right, because you guys did it all wrong. When Hughes came outside, authorities say the group ran to 2 different vehicles to leave the area. Hughes apparently tripped in the street and was hit by one of the trucks as the teens tried to drive away. When they discovered what had happened, the teens stopped and tried to help Hughes until first responders arrived. The 18-year-old driver of the pickup, identified as Jaden Wallace, was arrested and charged with first-degree vehicular homicide, reckless driving, criminal trespass, littering on private property. 4 other teens were charged with misdemeanors. Hughes' family said that he knew the students were coming and was excited to catch them in the act. They say the teacher knew and loved the 5 students, and they fully supported dropping all charges. It certainly seems this was a horrible accident. Yeah. I don't see how you can classify this as anything else except for a tragic accident. I think it is likely we will hear a decision from the DA on the case before the end of the week. Really hope so. I really hope he just drops the charges because it's ridiculous. So then ABC posted another update earlier. That's this one, so close that out. The family of the teacher who died in the student prank gone wrong supports dropping all charges. The family of the Georgia teacher who died over the weekend after a high school student prank gone wrong say they fully support dropping criminal charges against the 5 teenage students who were involved in the prank. In a statement to ABC News, the family of North Hall High School math teacher said, Coach Jason Hughes, we are thankful for the outpouring of prayers and support as we grieve the loss of Jason. We ask that you continue to pray for our family and also for the students involved in the accident along with their families. Please join us in extending grace and mercy to them as Christ has done for us. The family also said Hughes knew the students were coming to his house and was excited to catch them in the act. This is a terrible tragedy, and our family is determined to prevent a separate tragedy from occurring, ruining the lives of these students. This would be counter to Jason's lifelong dedication of investing in the lives of these children. Police in Gainesville, Georgia said the 5 teenagers went to Hughes' home on Friday night to throw toilet paper on trees on his property. The Hall County Sheriff's Office said when Hughes came outside, the students, all 18, attempted to flee in 2 different vehicles. At one time, Hughes apparently tripped and fell into the roadway, and one of the teen students, Jaden Wallace, ran him over, according to the Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office said Wallace and the other teens tried to render aid, but Hughes later died at the hospital. Again, if this was intentional, this was something that was meant to be done or something that had malice, they wouldn't have stayed, most likely. They wouldn't have got out of their vehicles and tried to render aid and perform life-saving measures. They would have just left. Like, don't ruin these kids' lives. The family isn't even wanting you to ruin their lives. The Gainesville community is now mourning Hughes and rallying behind his wife, Laura, who is also a teacher at the North High School with their 2 sons, one of Hughes' former students, and we read that earlier. Hughes' friend, Matt Williams, also said the family wants to make really clear that they knew these kids, that they loved them, and that these kids loved Hughes. This was not a malicious act. And it takes, like, can you name one other family, one other wife of somebody who was tragically killed? Can you name one that would say, I don't want them charged in my husband's death? You would expect the widow to be outraged. And she's not. She's extending them grace. She's saying she doesn't want them charged. She understands it. She even says this isn't what he would have wanted. And that says a lot for me. So then the student, Mr. Wallace, his family has released a statement. And this was posted today, just this afternoon, about 5 hours ago. The family of the student charged in a prank that investigators say led to the death of a teacher is expressing deep remorse over the loss. I can't imagine what that poor young man is thinking and going through. The Hall County Sheriff's Office said a group of teens went to the North High School teacher Jason Hughes' home on Friday to roll the trees with toilet paper. Investigators said Hughes came out of the home and the teens went to leave, but Hughes tripped and fell into the street. A truck ran over Hughes. Investigators saying 18-year-old Jaden Wallace was driving. Wallace now faces charges of first-degree vehicular homicide. 4 other teens face misdemeanor charges. A family member of Wallace told Channel 2 Action News he and Hughes were close. The teacher's family said he loved the students. Wallace's family has released a statement to ABC News on Tuesday expressing remorse. We are a family in deep remorse and grieving over such a tremendous loss in our North Hall community. Jason Hughes meant the world to our son Jaden. He took the time to invest in Jay and pour his love into him, making a lasting impact. Along with the rest of our family, Jay expresses his deepest sorrow and sincerest apology to the Hughes family. I pledge to live out the remainder of my life in a manner that honors the memory of Coach Hughes by exemplifying Christ. He will never be forgotten. Sincerely, Jaden, Jeremy, and Kristen Wallace. And like, tell me that this young man is not feeling it and going through it. He is so sorry. Like, I don't know him, but he is showing remorse. It was a tragic accident. And if you can be charged for a felony after an accident, after a true accident, what does that say for the rest of us that are driving down the road every day? What if somebody runs out in front of you or somebody trips and falls off the sidewalk and you don't have time to stop? Can we now be charged with vehicular homicide, first degree, 3 to 5 years in prison? The person fell into the road. That don't matter. Doesn't matter that it was an accident. Doesn't matter that the family doesn't want to press charges. As a DA, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to do. Crazy to me. They should have, I could understand if they would have said, we're not going to charge you tonight. They were arrested on the scene. They were arrested that night. I could have understood if they said, we're not going to arrest you tonight. We are going to talk to the DA, and the DA is going to talk to the family, and we'll decide what to do. That would make sense. But at this point, the DA just wants to save face, in my opinion. Well, I charged them. I'm not backing down. Again, in my opinion. So, just saying. Hughes' family said they would support dropping the charges against the students. They told ABC News, this is a terrible tragedy, and our family is determined to prevent a separate tragedy from occurring, which would be the ruining of the lives of these students. This would be counter to Jason's lifelong dedication of investing in the lives of these students. The amount of strength that it takes Mrs. Hughes to say that. Because I get she understands it was a tragic accident, and she even says it. It's a tragedy, a terrible tragedy, and it is. But it's also a freak, tragic accident. Hughes was a math teacher and golf coach. A GoFundMe has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for his family. Hall County District Attorney shared a statement saying he was not consulted before the teens were charged. How sad is that the police department, that says a lot, because you could have dropped the charges the next day then. You could have said, nope, we're not doing this. Drop all charges. But you haven't yet, so you do support it. They may not have consulted you about the charges, but you had to approve the charges for them to be held this long, for them to have bonds. You had to approve of those charges. And that says a lot about you, Mr. DA. I have talked with the family on the phone and will meet them in person soon. So you haven't even met the family yet? That says even more about you, Mr. DA. Their request to drop the charges will be given great difference. I was not consulted by law enforcement before these charges were leveled. I will be reviewing the evidence as I should and will be deciding soon. Well, you've had 3 days and you've had the family come out and say, This isn't what we want. This isn't what Jason would want. Don't create a separate tragedy. And again, Mr. DA, you you got a bond for this young man, which means you approved of those charges for him to get a bond, because you could have come in and said no, because you had to argue bond. You had to go into court and say, I want X, Y, and Z. I want this amount of bond. I do or don't want the 10% surety. I want it to be cash. All of this other stuff. You had to go into court and argue that, Mr. DA. So you can't then fall back and say, well, I didn't know about it. I didn't know they were going to charge them. It doesn't make any sense. So that was, like I said, just about 9 hours ago. So then I read what what he said. I read his statement and another picture. They look like a lovely family. He looks like he was a lovely person, and clearly, in my opinion, a wonderful teacher. And this young man looks so sad, and you can tell he's been crying. And you want to run his life for a tragic accident? You really need to think about this, Mr. DA. So before I end tonight's stream, I wanted to show you this other missing person as well from Indianapolis. So the Indianapolis Metro Police Department, the IMPD, seeks help finding a missing teen. The Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department is seeking the public's help in finding 18-year-old Travion Pirtle. According to the news release, Pirtle is described as 5 foot 10 inches tall, weighing 128 pounds, has goldish brown dreadlock hair, brown eyes. Pirtle is also described as having a dermal piercing under one of his eyes, along with neck tattoos. According to the IMPD, Pirtle was last seen Saturday, March 7th, 2026, in the 3600 block of Cedar Pine Lane near 38th Street North German Church Road on the city's east side. Police said he was last seen wearing a black Adidas pants and white stripes and a black hoodie with red lettering. Police said Myrtle may be in need of medical attention. Anyone with information on Pirtle's whereabouts is asked to call 911. I can't talk. 911 or the IMPD Missing Persons Unit at 317-327-6160. So that's really all I wanted to cover tonight. So Little Black Bear says, prison time will destroy that young man. I agree. I fully agree. And like, even if he gets 3 years, right? He's going to come out and he's going to forever be known as a felon. He won't be able to vote. He won't be able to join the military. He won't be able to have a gun. Like, you're going to ruin this young man's life for what? Even the family's saying don't do it. So I think that says a lot when the family themselves are saying, we don't want them charged. Looked like a lovely film. I know, right? They do. I mean, where's that one picture? Yeah. A family that clearly loves to be out in nature, and every picture I've seen is them smiling and having a good time. Prisons are demonic. I agree. And I mean, there are some people that deserve to be in prison, okay? There are some instances where I could understand this. If you're driving down the interstate going 110 miles an hour and you rear end a family and you kill somebody, I get it. I get that charge. I do. But in this instance, this is, in my opinion, not the instance where you need to place that charge. Yes, but it could change him in a bad way too, right? And you're in the system and then you're going to stay in the system. He would have parole or probation. I could even understand if they drop all the kids down to misdemeanor loitering, right? Hey, pretrial, deferral, stay out of trouble, we'll expunge your records in a year. I could get that. Like, I wouldn't necessarily like it. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't like it. But it would be the medium between charging a young man with homicide and not charging him at all. So if the DA really wants a charge, try something like that. I still think it's wrong. I still think that this was an absolutely tragic accident. But to ruin this young man's life, in my opinion, is not the right move. It really isn't. 3 years is a long time when you're 18. And I don't see how the charges haven't been dropped yet. Like I said, this was a school sanctioned activity. He was waiting for it. He knew it was going to happen. He was waiting to cause them to lose points because he was going to come out and catch them. Like, it's 11 o'clock at night. I'm sure he was more than happy to go to bed. But instead, he stayed up, so he could, quote unquote, catch these kids and cost them points. Because he knew it was going to happen. That's my thing. Okay, right? I mean, look, you can't tell me it's not a school sanctioned activity. They made rules, for Pete's sake. You can only mess with the houses. You can't mess with any cars. And they didn't even mess with his house. They literally just messed with his tree and in his yard a little bit. They didn't do a very good job. Just let me say that again, too. But there were literally rules set forth by the school. And the school just said, hey, as a reminder, guys, don't damage property because you can get in trouble for that. As a reminder, guys, be cognizant of what you're doing because if you damage property, you may not walk with your class when you graduate. You may not get to go to prom. Right? Can't tell me this wasn't school sanctioned. Ain't nobody gonna tell me this was not a school sanctioned good time. And these kids could be out there doing all kinds of things that are damaging. They could be out. Hey, when I was a senior, we were out in fields drinking while our parents thought we were at our best friend's house. These kids chose to have a good time, clean fun that ended tragically, in my opinion. So I know it's a short one, but that's all I wanted to go over. I wanted to get your guys' opinion on whether or not you thought this was an accident and what charges, if any, considering the family doesn't want any, do you think are appropriate? Hope everybody is good. Thank you for putting up with my inability to speak at times tonight. And I will see you guys later.
No amount of time will make us stray. We'll keep searching through the darkest day for every soul that's lost or gone. We'll fight until the break of dawn. American justice stands so tall. We won't rest until we found you. For all the lost, both the near and far, you're in our hearts, you're who we are. Through the nights and through the pain, we will say your name again. Every step we take is true as we continue to search for you. American justice stands so tall. We won't rest until there is justice for all the lost, both the near and far. You're in our hearts. You're who we are. We will continue to pray until you're home.